So I'm Luke Flegg, and I thought it might be useful for PartUp and maybe other people to compare three tools: PartUp, Stormboard, and Wrike. PartUp is a really interesting project. It's very new. I think it's going in a very exciting direction. I'm going to be showing these three platforms and how they relate to my new startup social venture. A tech startup that's designed to make it more effective and fun to generate money for causes that you're passionate about, even if you don't want to donate money. You can donate your time and that generates money while you do odd jobs for anybody who pays. So I was really keen on trying PartUp because I'm really interested in ways of working that are open and transparent and accountable and able to harness collective intelligence from anybody who's interested. And I think that's a really cool way to open up what we're doing and make business and organizations and social change projects less like bubbles, less like silos. We can share our skills, our teams, our resources and knowledge, and ultimately show our passion for tackling similar social challenges. So essentially the too long didn't read is that I find PartUp way too simplistic. I'm a designer, as well as a filmmaker and social innovator, and my design brain is just not satisfied by PartUp, and I know it's very new. So, and I really appreciate some of these things in here. I really appreciate the ability to make a public workspace, and I can just share this link with anybody. And I quite like this supporters thing and how you can support a project, just kind of being an advocate or patron of it, which is really nice, I think. And then before you can actually do an activity, you need to be what's called an upper. So I haven't got any uppers. And there's this sort of difficult thing, I think, which is before you really commit to a tool, a web platform or app for project management, you're not really going to give that app a chance. I'm just kind of teasing PartUp with this. I haven't actually moved over to it. Neither has my small growing team. So really we're just kind of imagining what we would write on there if we were actually using it. And so in reality, there's quite a lot of duplication here. So I can say I want to do one of these tasks and I can add hours, and I can charge a certain amount of money on there. I've worked 10 hours, €5 or pounds because I'm British, and so that's clocked. And then people can rate that. I don't think I can because I'm me, but another upper could rate it, I think. But I think that's just not very clear. And also, I'm a geek and I like PartUp and I've got a lot of patience, and I still haven't quite sussed out exactly what the process is for somebody transitioning from random member of the public who doesn't know about this project to a supporter to an upper who actually is authorized to take on tasks. And I've tried to take on tasks in other projects, and I'm still not completely clear on how that works. I think I press I want to do this, and then somebody who's already an upper can let me in. Then I can start clocking time and charging money. So I just don't see enough of what PartUp is offering that's unique yet, apart from one very important thing, which is the human beings who are designing this thing are awesome, and I've spoken to them and they inspire me and their vision inspires me. I'm a massive believer in looking beyond just apps, especially just in the form that they are right now today. Look at not only the future of the app, where is it going, but also the people who are behind it and what really is their vision. We don't just need more Ubers and Airbnbs. We need projects that embrace being shaped by their communities, not just creating a solution for me, but creating that solution with me and devolving a degree of ownership and responsibility as well for that tool, for that resource with its users. So I'll just quickly compare to how I prefer to work, in case this is interesting to PartUp or other people. So this is really where me and my small team are really spending our time, is here in Stormboard and here in Wrike. So what's so great about Stormboard? Well, it's very, very visual. it's not really for tasks, and actually it's been really effective, I think, totally separating those two ways of working, which are actually completely different, I think. One is completely free, unrestricted, playful, creative, just curiosity. Here you can see all of the questions that Jack is asking, and you can see the questions that I'm asking, and there's a few other questions. I think Alicia's got some somewhere in pink here. So we're all interested in different things at different points in time, and this gives us complete freedom to just ask questions, and if we want to, we can respond to each other's questions, and we can find relationships and links between similar or related questions. So inside any of these questions you can have a conversation. It's quite simple, just back and forth, almost like texting on a phone. And you can also vote, which we find really useful for showing how much you agree with a statement or how valuable you feel like a question is. So Jack asks a great question. For example, he asks about how can we involve children in this project, and I just think that's such an important thing. Like, why are our activist and social change projects always about adults fixing everything? You know, like as if kids don't have any insight on what they need now or in their own future, or aren't a resource in and of themselves, you know, to bring about positive social change in the world. Like they're too young and stupid. So I liked this question, so I voted on it a few times, and I've got my limited votes down here, and you can see 21. So you know, I have to carefully distribute those across the things I want to sort of show my appreciation of. So then some of these questions are really big, and they need more than just that kind of back and forth text style conversation. For example, one question in here, which is in the section we've titled About Us, I think, is what skills do we need in our team that we haven't got? So here's a load of results in what's called an index card, or see how I can make that regular sticky. And here's a regular sticky, and I can make that an index card. And I can really just switch between them like this. So just back and forth. So what's cool about a substorm or an index card is that I can enter it, and it's like Inception, like a dream inside a dream. And you'll notice how the background, the template, is completely different here. On the left-hand side, we have things we don't really need in Dignity Platform, we think. And on the right-hand side, things that we definitely do need. Meanwhile, on the x-axis, is it? Up here are things that we definitely have and things we definitely don't have. So unfortunately, we've got some things in the bottom right corner, which are skills in our team that we think we really need and we definitely don't have. And up here should be things that we definitely need that we do have. I think there's a few more things to put in here. We're just starting to flesh this out. So I think there are some essential skills that we do have in the team. But yeah, here is a few of them. And so this is kind of neat. So we can change the template retrospectively at any point to kind of fit into our ever-changing requirements. And I feel like this is a very flexible, very agile kind of way of working. So there's loads of templates here, like at least 150 different templates, and you can make them all different kind of sizes as well. So if I just go back, if I come back out of this post-it note, this substorm, so we're back here again. Some things that make this really fun to use are the history pane, which shows me all of the things that I've maybe missed recently while I've been away or whatever. And in fact, I can get a more detailed version of that in activity here. I can even see where things have been moved from one place to another, or where votes have been spent, comments have been made. I just want to jump straight to those. And then I can mark those all as red. Then we've got a universal kind of global chat as well here, which is great. And the search is quite powerful as well. And it can do things like showing the highest voted things. So here at a glance, immediately you can see the questions that as a team we feel like are most important and urgent right now, perhaps. So there's loads of flexibility there and lots of different sort of ways of working. And you can do, you can move groups of things at a time, and you can align them to a grid and all these sort of nifty things. It's really well made, and I think if it had a better smartphone app, which at the moment is kind of essentially like a glorified web browser, it would be really, really powerful. It kind of already is if you can access a computer easily. So here you can see you can change the names of the sections. So we started off without any sections and we just thrashed out some questions, which was such a beautiful, light way to start a project, just to go, what are we actually really, just turning that feeling of, God, what a big but inspiring vision, where do we start? Just start in the middle and just thrash out the questions that you're most interested in digging into now. I think it's such a wonderful way to move a project forward. So how do we move from here to action? As soon as these questions inevitably become actionable, we go, oh yeah, it would be great to prepare some stuff for We Share Fest Paris. Let's definitely do that. We need some flyers. What kind of flyer should we make? And you ask more and more specific questions until there's no more questions to be asked, or you just feel so motivated into action. That's when we move over to Wrike. So I hope this is still useful for people who are only watching this for Part Up. There's not that much to look at in Part Up yet, so I'm really just trying to kind of compare to the tools that we are using, so to give a sort of idea of what more I'm looking for in Part Up, which I basically really want to support. And Wrike is very expensive. The first invoice they sent me was for like $3,000, and I paid a fraction of that, but still hundreds of pounds. And it's an expensive piece of software, but I'm a designer and I didn't want to compromise, so I felt like it was worth it. So these are the tasks on the table at the moment. These ones without any face on them, i.e. nobody assigned to them, are more like context for tasks, so that here in table view, if I wanted to, I don't often do this, but I could expand all of them and see everything that needs to be done and how that kind of fits together into a strategy. So designing and printing business cards, flyers and a call for team members in order to make preparations to make the most out of We Share Fest. Why? In order to ultimately help grow a team. Why? To help form, develop and nurture our team, ourselves and our support network. So that's kind of one of our primary overarching sort of aims as a group. So that's what all of these kind of high level goals are. None of these are kind of actionable in and of themselves, and that's why it's quite fun to put them as a context, not a task. You might have guessed that this is a custom workflow here. So when you start your Wrike account, you only get active, which basically means to do, completed, and deferred and cancelled. So this is on pause and this is a cancelled task. And I think that's just a really neat feature. So you can customize that completely and have as many different, however you work as a sociocracy or whatever, you might say this task needs a few more approvals before it can be actioned or whatever. So you can create as many colors and stages as you like, but Wrike is actually going to work with them. It's going to treat them like this sideways label here. So it takes any of these two to basically mean some form of active, actionable task, which is not ideal because context is actually not a task, so it shouldn't really be active. But anyway, and then floating ideas, exactly, that's on hold. That's exactly what it is. But deferred is purposefully paused. Maybe that was begun and now it's paused. Floating ideas is just, what about doing this? And I think floating ideas has actually kind of been replaced by Stormboard, because we float ideas now in here. You might say, would it be a good idea to hold an event in Brighton for charities to come together and explore how dignity could be useful? And so maybe that's not relevant anymore, but we have a culture in Dignity of really exploring different ways of working. Just like nature randomly mutates, and it's a critical part of natural evolution in theory of deep ecology, and we love to work in line with that. So Wrike's got a really nice smartphone app. It's very slick, it's feature rich, it's got most of these things. A really neat feature in here that's just not done as well barely anywhere else that I've seen is time log. So we can look in the last kind of month or two and see really what everyone in the team has done. So what has Alicia been doing, and Jack? What have I been doing? And you can see my total time I've spent on the project at the bottom. And Alex PB, so if we're all paying ourselves exactly the same wage because our time on this planet is equally valuable, like there's no way I can justify saying an hour of my life is more valuable than somebody who's new to the project. Maybe monetarily in terms of return on investment or whatever, but that's not how we measure value and dignity. So this feels like a beautiful way to be super accountable to anyone who's funding our work or just interested in what we're doing. It's easy to kind of catch up and see anything that you've missed that people have been doing, and rather than some superior person or supervisor or boss kind of in a hierarchical power structure kind of keeping checks on us and seeing if we've spent the amount of time that we were supposed to or whatever, our way of working in dignity is complete freedom and autonomy, where we build up very close human relationships and really know each other and trust each other. And Stormboard is a beautiful way to help us to kind of vision together. All of these are digital tools, and they only work if we have face-to-face relationships and at least video calls, because Jack is in Mexico at the moment. But we connect socially outside of all of this tech. And these different levels help us to make the most of that freedom and autonomy. Because it just feels like such a more powerful way to work. Every single thing you're engaging with is always the thing that you find most inspiring and exciting right now. And as long as that's not working against anything else that anyone else is doing, you're very aware of what everyone else is doing and why and how. That's such a powerful way to work, I think. And so I feel like these two tools together at the moment are really helping us to do that. Then there's geeky other stuff like Workload. This is kind of cool. It sort of shows where which tasks are not assigned to anyone at the moment. So it's quite handy now to have that brown for the context tasks, which are not real actionable tasks right now. So all these blue ones are things that we've decided we want to do, but no one's actually leading them yet. So here you can see all the things that I've put on my plate. This whole bunch of tasks here, and another way to look at those is in my work. And this is the default view on the phone. But I can also see dashboard and see other people's views. What's Jack up to, and what do I need to do next, and such. So then there's folders, which are a nice way to tag things. So if I open up this task, you can see it's been tagged with this, and it's just a nice way for collaborators, which is what we're calling people interested in what we're up to, but not really part of the team per se, and we haven't given the authorization to them to do whatever they want and clock time and expect to be paid for it. They're just people who really just are kind of checking us out and want to help. So this is an easy way for them to kind of see those tasks. And this is very new, so this, we're still kind of populating this. And then here's a neat thing where we can drag and drop this onto tasks, or no, you drag this onto these, I think. So finding office space in Brighton, you can see that it's just an easy way to kind of, whenever we have a meeting, we can just check this and just see what do we want to chat about. And for resources as well, we find it quite useful to do this, to keep our resources in one place. So hopefully that's a potentially useful, interesting thing to look at. These infinite subtasks are just something that I find quite hard to find, and this is how you do time logs, by the way. And also there's of course the timeline view, which we haven't really been using much. We haven't kind of been deadlining things, and actually something I'd really like in Wrike is to be able to put soft deadlines on things, or what Teal might call birth lines, birth dates even, because I think it's just a wonderful way to work. Kind of instead of calling an arbitrary target of a deadline, call it a birth date instead, and then you set soft targets. But if you have an externally imposed date, you have to have something done by. That should be different, really. And you can kind of do high priority or whatever to maybe help signify that, but yeah, it's not sort of ideal. So we have made this public by creating this dignitypublic@gmail.com account, and the password is workopen. So you can actually log in with that email address. Workopen is the password, and you can not only see all of this, but you can actually interact with it and comment on things and ask us questions and such. I could just briefly show you Mindmeister, which is a tool I used to think was awesome, and I still kind of do. But again, it's just not really quite got the app side down. Wrike is just hands down the best out of all four of these tools for apps, and Stormboard and Mindmeister are really kind of dragging behind. I mean, the Mindmeister, yeah, whatever. So here's the team, kind of growing team, and these are our main resources online. This mind map is kind of at the moment the best sort of first port of call for this project. Just kind of showing you where things are. And here's links. You can click the arrows going out to all the existing things we have on the internet regarding Dignity Platform that are probably, hopefully, maybe interesting to the public. So that's about it. Nice notifications thing on PartUp. I'm just interested to see where it's going next. Like many tools that have a beautiful social purpose, I'm very interested to see projects like this use better ways of crowdsourcing feature requests and having rich conversations about what people really want from these tools as we use them more and more, and how we sort of learn about how we want to use them. So I'd love to see more of that. It doesn't really exist with PartUp. I know user voice is really expensive, but there's many ways really that you can, gather ideas about features from your users, and it's such an important way, I think, to kind of embody that culture of shared ownership and responsibility and crowdsourcing collective intelligence. So just finally, there is actually a board on Stormboard for feature requests. Yeah, this one. I don't know why it doesn't have a thumbnail, but I've just been made an admin because I asked to be, which I think is kind of cool. But yeah, so yeah, it's a huge list of people who've contributed to the feature requests board on Stormboard. And yeah, it's a little bit messy, but you can, when it's this kind of chaotic, I think Stormboard's a lot more powerful when you've got an actual team in an agreed way of working, but still you can see how people are using the votes to kind of vote for feature requests, and there's conversations people can have inside, and you can start to retrospectively create the sections in the background. So yeah, all eyes on PartUp. Probably maybe the fastest moving of all of these projects, so it could be very different in a few months from now. Looking forward to seeing them at WeShareFest, and maybe the last thing I'll just mention is just discovering projects. I think this is an area that Wrike don't really touch on, or Stormboard, and I think it's very exciting. We want to expand our team in Dignity right now, and this is the only tool out of these four that I've looked at today that really could potentially help. Maybe aren't perfect at doing it, but could definitely help connect people with projects that they're passionate about. So that is a whole another level of awesomeness. Thanks.